Welcome back to another episode of Creepypasta Storytime.
Of course, you sound more excited this time than you did when introducing it was my turn to read. Asshole.
Hey, I didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to get back into my jig.
Well, get back into your jig by introducing me properly. Thank you very much. Okay, now go. And welcome back to another session of Creepypasta Storytime. Ha.
Wait, what do you mean introducing you?
I wasn't saying. Shut up. Just read.
Alright. This time we're going to be reading what I'm guessing is a new creepypasta, because it's just shown up for me in the Creepypasta Wiki. I hadn't seen it around before. It's called What Truly Defines Humanity.
Sounds spoopy.
Alright, here we go. I cannot remember how long this has been going on. I can actually tell from what I've gathered with experience over the 25 years or so, is that human beings do not define themselves, or, at the bare minimum, consciously. However, what I am able to tell you is that the human brain, no, the brain of anything, dictates the outcome of their life. You may think you have full control over your life now, sure, but do you? It is your subconscious that craves, your subconscious that tells you what you like, what you don't like, who you love, who you hate, how much you care, for even your well-being. If right now you are still skeptical, come with me. Saying I have a lot of experience with this phenomenon would be the understatement of the decade. It all began one fall evening. I was in my house, all alone, as per usual, as my introverted, awkward, anxious self was tired by social interactions, and dictated to lonely nights with my border collie Jewel, and my horror stories. Oh yes, the horror stories. I cannot tell you how much I read this genre. I find it to be the most creative and thrilling genre, although the main reason I love this genre is that it is a true testament that lies within mankind, when we are allowed to delve into the parts of our mind that we are not allowed to go under normal circumstances. As I came to a good closing point in my latest purchase, Unwind, it was called. It was about how if kids misbehaved, they had a surgery done to fix their behavioral patterns. I reluctantly closed my book, then continued to my usual nightly routine. Take a shower, brush my teeth, shave, so on, and so forth. I'm sure you may be acquainted with the procedures taken for personal hygiene. Bang, bang, bang! I'm not gonna lie. At that sound, I jumped a little. You would too if you had never had anybody knock on your door. Aside for rare occasions. Especially if your house was completely dark. I crawled out of bed, half asleep, to see who was there. It was a small woman with blonde hair and deep blue eyes that, despite the darkness, were shining like sapphires. I was about 5'9", and where she was about maybe 5'5". Her breath pushed steam through the air, and my gaze broke from her eyes, and I invited her in. We got to talking, and her name was Lena. She spoke with a slight Russian accent. She was from Russia, obviously, and had only lived in the States maybe 3 years. In the current state we were in, which is Michigan, for about 7 months or so. After about 30 minutes or so, she told me why she was there. Her husband was a cop who had died in service about 3 months ago, trying to take down a meth lab. For this, I was grateful, as bad as that may sound. Why, you may ask? Well, she was the most beautiful and kind person I'd ever met, and I had a chance with her. Or I did, anyways. I let her stay at my house for maybe a week, until I noticed that things were going missing. I hadn't quite jumped to conclusions, although I should have. It would have made my future much, much brighter. One morning, I awoke to find her at my bookshelf, poking around. I just assumed she was looking for some reading material. "Do you need help?" I asked, half awake. She jumped a little bit. "No, thank you," she responded feverishly. The next morning, I awoke to see her packing. You're leaving? My mood went from neutral to absolute crap. I decided to help her pack as I started placing things of hers that lay askew as she turned around and screamed at the top of her lungs, "Get out of there!" I practically crapped my pants while simultaneously dropping the bag. And there I see my MacBook Pro glimmering like a pearl in the tattered brown bag. I felt betrayed, angered, and agonized all at once. I looked at her, dead in the eyes, with a slightly sadistic glint in my eyes. I could tell she was scared about what I was prepared to do. And from that point on, I don't remember if she tried pleading for forgiveness, and for me not to call the authorities, but what I do remember is grabbing my computer and bashing her in the face with it, with all the strength I could muster. She fell to the floor, barely conscious. I repeated this process a number of times. When her life was faltering between living and dying, I took a broken piece of glass from my screen. I proceeded to slowly and carefully slit her throat, and then it hit me. I had murdered another human being, and it was the most euphoric feeling I'd ever had. Almost like a first kiss, or your first adolescent love. This went on for some time, eventually. I became creative with my murders. Sometimes I would let them get drunk, then offer them a ride home, and then I'd torture them, slowly and painfully. After a while, however, I got addicted to it. I would be constantly in a state of mind that gave a violent nature, and I soon grew to hate myself more than anybody I'd ever encountered, even Lena. One time, I tried suicide, but as they tied the noose around my neck, I blacked out before I even jumped. When I regained consciousness, there was a couple in my living room, and I knew what I had to do. I offered them both drinks. The man, who was Zeke, had a glass of chocolate milk. His wife, who was Jaina, wanted the same. As I served their drinks, and they took a mighty gulp of their chocolatey beverage, I pulled out a knife from my pocket and slit Zeke's throat. His wife, however, would have a different treatment. I grabbed a lamp and knocked her out cold with one mighty blow. I proceeded to torture her by whipping there. Chinese water torture, burning her. I realized my brain wasn't reacting positively to the sheer and absolute suffering of others. I repeated this process with 7 more people, and then it hit me like a bus. I overloaded my brain so much that my dopamine respondents in my brain weren't working, just like a drug. Except I never recovered from this. Quite the opposite, in fact. I fell into a state of dementia due to the fact that I could feel nothing but sorrow and remorse. I had to do it. I had to tell somebody. This resulted in a 4th-month trial. In the end, I got sentenced to prison for life. No matter how much I begged for the death sentence because it was immoral. I've been here for about 17 years now, doing nothing but reading those same old horror stories, being an outcast, and having nobody I know, nobody that respects me. Everyone was scared of me. I truly believe that this serves as a testament to the fact that we do not control our lives. In fact, that what we do, strive for what we strive for, because our subconscious is constantly seeking that euphoria from what it likes, and is using you as a puppet. This is evident because every so often a prisoner will get on my nerves, and I will deeply contemplate murdering them, because I know that I couldn't be in any deeper. So what do you guys think?
That was boring as fuck.
Did you happen to hear it, Ace?
I did hear it. I heard portions of it.
And what do you think?
I don't think it was that good. Although, the last thing I think is what Sparky said.
Well, it was, I guess, something to get me back into reading creepypasta.
It was there, if you want my opinion.
Yep. Exactly. Not exactly the most action-packed read, but it tried to be intellectual in a, well, I don't know how to put it. I wouldn't say insane or crazy. Intellectual when it comes to talking about the mind of a criminal, I guess you could say. What would you guys rate it?
I would rate it a -1 billion.
Again, it was there. So I guess I give it a B.
Yeah, we operate on a new scale, by the way, guys. Not going by numbers, we're going by letters.
A -Z.
God damn.
Holy crap. I think she'd say, well...
Negative alphabets? Didn't even know those existed.
Then again, well, see, I was going to say, I think she was saying the sodomy story was scarier than that, but that was an obvious one.
I haven't even read it all the way. That one was even more boring than this. I don't know which one I'd rather listen to.
Well, it depends if you're reading it or if you're listening to us read it. There's two different things.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather listen to or read the Sanemi story, personally.
We do nothing but crack jokes at that as much as we try to make it through.
Then I'd rather read it alone.
You're gonna sit there and crack jokes at it too, so may as well listen to us do it.
Well, no, I try to read it through before I make jokes, unless I see something that looks absolutely redonkulous, and I'm just like, the fuck?
I understand where you're coming from, but that's just not possible with Zombie Story.
It wasn't possible with My Immortal either.
Oh gosh. That's what Sodomy Story is often compared to.
Yeah, it's because both of them have awful sex scenes, most likely. I heard that's in the Sanemi one.
Yep.
And they seem like they're written by 13-year-olds that are just obsessed with whatever it is they're writing about.
Well,
but My Immortal is gothic and vampires and blood and
Before this drags out any longer, I think we'll bring this video to a close. Did you guys have anything else to say?
Nope.
Nah, besides bye.
Go away, all of you.
Peace out, bruskies.